I'm Yannick Kindrishan, and this is my wife, Kelly. We live in Green Acres, Washington.
Close to Liberty Lake, but not quite there yet.
So I've been at Faith about 20 years. I think one of the biggest challenges we had in living in Liberty Lake growing up was being far away from the people that we were invested in. So although we might spiritually connect with people at church, it was just difficult to know they might be 30 or 40 minutes away. And for those people that were that distance away, it was hard to truly invest in their lives and be investing at a level like that Hebrews 3 describes, where it's this daily encouraging of each other. And so that has gotten us thinking about what we would do if Faith were to plant out here in the valley.
Well, and I think too, as a stay-at-home mom, one of the challenges has just been with 2 young kids, how do I meaningfully invest in the church body and in our neighbors while still carrying out the primary responsibility that I have to help with raising the kids. And as the kids are so young, it was hard when most of our fellowship was happening 45 minutes to an hour away. And I think there was a growing conviction for both of us that it would be a right thing to invest in our home, in our neighbors, and to be able to carry out the Great Commission in that way.
A disciple-making culture looks like people knowing each other, helping each other with their burdens, praying for one another, crying together, rejoicing together, and then being able to speak the word to each other and helping each other to see the truth of God's word and exactly how it applies to their situations, and then helping each other to take steps to live it out. So it's really a lot of hospitality, a lot of time together, people having fun together, eating together, knowing each other well. It's going to be being in God's word together on Sunday morning primarily, but other times too, looking at God's word and talking about it and understanding it together. And it's going to look like reaching out together too, finding people that we can spend time with who don't know Christ yet, and spending time with them, talking to them, with our families, with our discipling groups, or whatever context we can find. We're going to do evangelism.
Disciple making, I believe, raises up people who have a bigger vision for where the gospel can go than just their own comfort in staying in the same place. So disciple making and church planting are continually connected.
The elders came to a conviction about being a church planting church for a couple of reasons. One of those is we've always wanted to make disciples, raise up leaders. Another one of those has to do with the need around our own city. We have long been a missionary supporting church and planting churches internationally, and we're asking ourselves, why don't we plant churches nearer when we need more churches in our area?
Jesus did say, go and make disciples among the nations. And whether that be something that takes place long ways away or locally, that commitment needs to be in place. But it's not just the leaders. The people of the church need to be committed to the Great Commission.
Church planting is God's design for carrying out the Great Commission of making disciples. If we're trying to reach people and disciple people, it's better to go where they are.
Being within physical proximity with people you're reaching out to is really important for evangelism and being able to invite them, because the whole church does evangelism together on Sunday morning as we hear God's word preached, as we sing, as we take the Lord's Supper together, as we do baptism. So people being able to come to your Sunday gathering it's a huge strategy and an important way that we can proclaim Christ to them, along with personally speaking to them about the gospel. So having your church location and your church gathering be in a location that's closer is really helpful for that. And it's also helpful for our discipling of each other and our unity, which is another powerful means of evangelism. Our unity, our fellowship together shows who Christ is. I mean, it's what Jesus says, they'll know you by your love. They'll see that Christ was sent by the Father by how we love each other.
Church planting gives us an opportunity to do more geographically particular, specific ministry.
Everyone from a certain, in a church living in a certain area geographically really helps them to be able to pop into each other's houses and help each other with things more easily. And kind of the dynamic we have now with growth groups that are more geographically based, you could have that with your whole church when you have a church that's planted and most people are living in that area. And that's the goal, is to really have the whole church be able to be relationally connected with each other.
Taking a group of people that live in the same place and doing ministry together as we are in the course of discipleship together. We want to see that happen all over our city and all over our region.
I think when you think about planting new churches, you want to focus on an area that would be harder for people to get to your church from. And so if you think about areas in Spokane, the Valley is a good place to start because it is further away from where we are geographically. And also there's 200,000 people between Spokane city limits and Coeur d'Alene in that Valley corridor. Also there's a lot of FBC members who live out there. And so we want to think about where are there FBC members who live further away from the church, whose ministry to each other and to the lost people around them is going to be hindered by being so far away. Where can we plant a church that will be a blessing to that group of members of FBC, helping them be more effective in the ministry to each other and more effective in the ministry to the lost people around them? And the Valley seems like an ideal place to start.
I want to just take an opportunity and invite anyone who is thinking potentially about being a part of the church plant in the Valley. I would just like to invite you to come and talk to me. Send me an email, set up a time. We can sit down and chat about what we're doing in the Valley and whether or not you should be a part of it. What we're looking for are people who are committed to this task of making disciples, people that are purposeful about the mission of making disciples.
That heart that says I'm willing to sacrifice to give money and send a missionary, that's the same heart that says I'm going to send a group of people to plant a church. It just hurts more because there's even more of them. And so you're giving even more people, but you do that because you love Christ and they love Christ and you want to see more people reached with the gospel and built up in their faith.
We're extremely thankful for Faith and are definitely leaving in sadness. It's not going to be an easy transition. Sadness and totally excited as well. But it's worth it to us because we know that we will gain brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers in the church, and that there are people that as of yet don't believe that will believe. God's promised us that, and this is part of us entering the harvest together. And so we're excited that there are people that we don't know yet that will believe, and we're excited to unite with other people at Faith to pursue that mission together in the Valley.